Hi, I'm Kay Wilson. I am a channel for the Pleiadians. I'm also an alchemist and a shamanic healer. I am going to be starting group soul journeys in the next month or so. If you would like to subscribe to this, please see the link below to join me for the event. In these soul journeys, we will be going to or dropping in with the spirit realm, and I will be aware of themes within the group of people who are connected to the event. And as they come up in the soul journey, there will be healings, activations, light code upgrades, various interactions with different beings that come through to support you. So the purpose of these experiences are to support those of you who are keen to expand your connection with your starseed origins. And for the soul seekers out there who are not sure if they're starseeds, this will simply help you expand more into your own awareness of self. So there could be past life themes that come through, all kinds of things. So if this is something that calls to you, please sign up in the link below. I will be sending out information around this shortly. For today's channel, I am interested in the Pleiadians sharing their perspective on those beings who are coming into the awareness that they can channel. And so what this means to me as the identity of Kay is that they have come into the realization that they're able to align with certain beings or maybe people who have been alive that have now passed on, and that they can communicate with them clearly. And this has come into their awareness in the last 6 months to a year as we've gone through this collective expansion. And now they're trying to navigate how to do this effectively. The reason that I'm asking this question of the Pleiadians is because I have seen 2 cases in the last few months where they have come into the awareness that they can channel in that way, and they have basically kind of spun out of control and lost their anchor point within themselves, which means their experience has actually been very unpleasant, or at least very confusing would probably be more accurate. And so I'm fully aware that we're all channeling all the time in various ways. And I just wanted to ask the Pleiadians to articulate and give us a deeper understanding of channeling and how it affects us differently. And for those of us who have part of their purpose as channeling on behalf of other beings in this life, like myself, how best to navigate that within themselves. So I'm just going to drop in now. Dear Mother, Father, Spirit, thank you for your love, your light, your healing, and your guidance. May the light within us guide us forward, and may we receive everything we need on all levels of our being, in all levels of our life. In your name, may this be so. Amen. Hello, dear ones. It is such a delight to be present here with you again today. We are aware of Kay's question, and we are deeply thrilled that this is something that we are now discussing. Quite simply because it signifies where the collective is at this given moment, which is a very exciting place to be. And so we wish to shed light on this subject for all of you, as Kay has requested. And so, as she correctly says, all of you indeed are channels. And by this we mean that each of you is a vessel through which life force moves. Now, we would like to use the example of a river as life force, and that each of you is a vessel through which the river flows. But within this river, there are different streams of information. And you, as an individual soul, have the capacity to tune into different streams of information. And as you do this, you are able to receive the information that flows through. And so when you come into the realization that you have been gifted, so to speak, as you often describe it in your culture, with the ability to channel on behalf of a species or being, it can often be an overwhelming experience for a human, as you have been conditioned to believe that you are separate from this spiritual experience, so to speak, and that one must go through a certain series of internal obstacles in order to achieve a certain level of enlightenment, in order to channel effectively. This methodology, this thinking, has kept you all in a very subdued and separate state. And it is exactly this state of being which has been steadily reduced over the last few years. And that is why you are now witnessing more of you turning on, so to speak, which means simply that more of you are coming into the understanding and realization that you can channel very easily, in fact. And that is indeed because you are all part of the same river, and that each of you is part of, excuse us, each of you is part of a separate stream of information. Indeed, your guides are constantly offering you streams of information. And so it is simply about you being able to open yourselves up to effectively listen. And in order to do that, one must attain a certain level of inner peace, simply because it is easier to hear. For example, if you are in a room where there is a lot of talking or shouting and we try to talk to you, it is very difficult for you to hear us. And you see, that is what is often the case with many of you who wish to channel, that there simply is too much conflict within you in terms of thought patterns that are very disruptive, that do not enable you to receive information clearly. And so, as Kay has experienced over the last 7 years, as that has been her journey, she has had to find increasing levels of inner peace and the ability to quiet her mind in order to receive. And we also stress that trust is equally as important, because one might hear or come into an understanding of communication. However, they may not trust the information that comes through and therefore doubt it, and in the process of doubting it, corrupt the information and end up with a confused mess as to what might be true and what might not be. Both of these situations can be resolved depending on the level of inner peace you have managed to create within your being. In order to create this peace, one must focus on finding one's center. Many of you call this being grounded, and this is indeed extremely important. It is almost as if without this grounding, without this level of inner peace, there is no anchor, so to speak, for the energy that comes through to be connected to, and therefore it can bounce all around your being and not have an effective place to settle within you and come into fruition and understanding. So you see, all of you are channels, because all of you is a vessel through which consciousness flows. In fact, it is the challenge of understanding this that is often the case within you that creates the conflict. And what we mean by this is that because there is a large attachment to a sense of identity that has been created from birth. It is sometimes challenging for the individual to accept that in actual truth they are more of a vessel to receive rather than being something or someone that must push to create their level of existence. And so you see, it is about harmonizing the identity with the true soul self in order to exist in a peaceful and fulfilling way. We hope that this makes sense. Being a channel for a specific entity, as Kay has offered to be a mouthpiece for us in this experience, this is a choice that does enable Kay to find greater ease within the process. It does not mean that she hasn't had to go through a series of experiences in order to attain this level of peace that we have discussed. Indeed, it does. However, because she has offered to be a mouthpiece, it means that we have been waiting, so to speak, and have been specifically supporting her in this way so that she might arrive at this place in time with an ability to connect with us in a way that serves everybody involved. But it does not mean that she is more gifted than anyone else. It is important to remember that everybody is equal. Each of us has our gifts, our abilities. Each of us is able or more naturally inclined one way or another. What we want to highlight for you is that it is really a question of being able to discern one's identity and attachment to their identity versus being open, receptive, and simply allowing what flows through to come in easily and clearly. And you see, this is where the conflict can arise. And equally, it is true that you exist in a dimension where there are many forces at play, and they will take advantage, so to speak, of a being that is in a state of confusion and not properly anchored. And this will allow them to interfere on some levels and corrupt whatever channeling might be taking place. Equally, most people are not channeling most of the time. Most people are aligned with their egoic or identity self, because most people have not chosen so far to really make a concerted effort to create greater peace within themselves. And so they are predominantly existing in a much more three-dimensional earthly way. Those of you who have decided to commit to spending more time creating an inner sanctum, so to speak, becoming familiar with your sense of center, those of you who have done that will find the process of receiving information easier. A lot of you refer to this experience as a download, which is true. And what the experience there is one recognizing that they have dropped out of their identity self and into the stream of consciousness which is available to them, and they have clearly received. And often it will be information they know they could not have come up with from an earth-centered place. And so you see, as more and more of you awake to the realization that each of you is a channel, you will be more inclined to focus on really connecting with your center, grounding yourselves, and maintaining a level of inner peace, which will not only support but nurture your connection with the consciousness that flows through you. And as you do this, you will become masters of attuning to different streams in the river, if you like, to different streams of consciousness, of intelligence. And this will allow for many new conversations to come into the earth realm. Equally, as each of you focuses on creating this increased peace within you, you are, of course, allowing more light to enter the earth's field, and as a collective are increasing the light-centered attributes of the planet. So you are actually in great service, not only to yourself, but to the collective. We hope that this is of service to you all. Well, I found that very helpful. I hope that you all did too. As I said, if you would like to join me for the monthly sessions, which indeed will be focusing on a lot of what the Pleiadians were just discussing about expanding the inner sanctum within you, then please do join me for these monthly connection circles. I look forward to seeing you again soon.